Okay, welcome to the third session. And my plan for today is we are going to continue from the last session where we learn the MySQL, especially how you create database, store data, as well as writing simple queries to manipulate the data. And today I'm going to look at like one possible instead of a database. So as you can see here, we have what we call the employee database. This is about employees, and these employees work for some departments and they do some projects. And also we record their dependent details. So you can see the database information. I will show you the ER diagram of this one as well, but I guess you might already know this, but let's, to be clear, let me show you how this ER diagram of this, so that you are also comfortable with the relations. Right. So you can see this is the problem that actually we are going to handle. This is the ER diagram just to have an understanding what we have in the database. So we have employees, and employees works for department, and then employees also works on some projects, and these projects controlled by a department. And then some of the employees works as managers for the department. And then employees may have some dependents, and for each employee you have supervisors. So this is the basically the outline of the database what we have, right? And so when you map this mapping part, I hope you remember we discussed with the review, and you have done this in your bachelor's, I guess. So this is what we will get. So we have some table records, employee, department locations, the projects, dependent, and their project details are recorded in works on relation. So here is what we have. So let's first start creating the database script. Now for that, you can use any editor that you are familiar with, or else in my case, I'm simply is going to use Notepad, and I will show you one by one how we could create this. Right, so let me first, now that you have understanding what we have right now, so let me share the Notepad environment, and let's create some basic environment so that we can keep on updating the script, and we can use the same script to generate the database and also the records, right? So I hope you understand the idea that we are going to do. Right. Now, first of all, we need to create a database. So I'm going to create everything from the beginning, which means I want everything to be recorded as a script. So we know that the SQL command to create database is create command, and we can have the command database company, right? So which is the default one. So I will use this, right? And then we say create database company, which create the company database. And the second command, I'm going to use it, use company, right? And then if you want, you can check other commands as well. For example, you can write things like show tables. We don't have anything right now, but let's put it that way, because we will just going to learn this, how to work on this, right? Okay, now I'm going to save this. Make sure when you're saving, I'm going to go to my folder where we have SAM I have used last time. So under that, I will let me share the whole screen, otherwise you might, okay. So now you can see, I'm going to go to C, and then under C we have, last time I created a folder, and within the folder I will have MySQL, and under the bin, I can go here because this is for me to not to put the path and directly call it, but definitely you can save anywhere and then you can provide the path, right? But if somebody is beginning, it might be confusing sometimes working with the path. So I go to the root folder, MySQL bin, and then I'm going to save this as SQL. Note that when I save, I'm using double quotes. Make sure that it will not save it as a text file. So I'm going to say, okay, company database dot SQL. So the name I have given is company database.sql, and I will save it, right? Now that I have saved, I can now open up and then I can run MySQL. Right now I have already started. So now I can go to a command line, which I'm going to do what we have done last time. So I will say, okay, MySQL minus u root minus p would, okay, maybe I will go back to my folder. Right. So right now I'm inside. So I can check what are the databases I have. The right now you can see nothing is here. But what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to use company database. Also, this is what I have. Right now, only 3 command company. Okay, there's a spelling mistake. So maybe I will save it again. Penny. Let me say DB. I hope you don't mind with TX. Sorry, SQL. Sorry, SQL. Company DB SQL. Okay, so I actually renamed it. Okay, so company DB. Right now, what I'm going to do. So I'm here. Sorry, I will go to the shell again. Okay, maybe I have closed it. I'll start from the beginning. Right now, I don't have anything, right? Okay. So now I'm going to call the script. So I'm calling within MySQL. So I can say source and company db.sql. So this is the command. So what should happen is it should go to the script, and one at a time, it should, read the commands. So you can see nothing has happened and everything is perfect because it says empty set. First one, it actually database actually generated, right? And then database change. Now you can see we are inside the company and it says empty set because there's no databases right now. Okay. And this is what I have right now. Right. Okay. So maybe you can repeat the same. I will repeat those who need some help. What we have done so far is we were discussing how we could generate database using SQL commands. And these commands are saved as a separate file. And the idea is once you have generated script, you can use it, you can modify it, right? The database generation will be easier, right? So far what I have done, I got a notepad in my case, and I have written 3 statements. The first one to create a database called company, and the second one to use that company database, third one just to show the tables. And I have saved this file as a company DB SQL within the MySQL root folder, that means MySQL bin directory, so that I can directly call it within the prompt. So I log into the SQL command line, and the command that I have used is called source company db.sql, and it all the 3 executed. The first one create the database company, and it says query okay, 1 row affected. And the second one is use company, database changed. Yes, we can notice that earlier we had none, now we have company. Show tables, right now we don't have any tables, right? So that's why the outcome empty set came in here. Right, you don't have to wait until I discuss. So those who already know, I have already given you the database details, so you can populate. And if you populate, you can just share me with the code and you can leave. Right, but those who need some help, I'm going to talk about each and every steps here.
Sir, if we
Yes,
save the notepad in a different folder, what is the command to give to execute the
exactly.
script?
Good point. You have to provide everything from the beginning, the whole, what do you call, the path, right? So usually path, if you have the folder, let's say C, then you have to say starting from C:/ and then you have to provide any folder detail. Let me show you first. Okay. I don't want to confuse the others, but So let me just type the command. Let's say you save within C, we can say source, right? And then right now what we have is, this is direct, right? Company db.sql. Now let's say it's within the C. Just try this and let me know whether you are getting the answer. Let's say within the C. So you can say company db.sql. And let's say if it is in another folder, maybe you can say test folder within test. So try with the source. Let's say it's within test folder, company db.sql. Those who have saved somewhere else, can you confirm whether you got the outcome like the same?
So slash should be other way around, otherwise it will work.
Okay. In Windows?
Yes.
Okay. Maybe then I have to have colon as well, right?
No, what you have written is correct, but the slash should be other way around. That's all.
Okay, I got the point. Then I think it should be double slashes, right? Is it? Let
No,
me
it
check.
works for me without it. Yeah.
Okay. Let me check and come back to you. I think better I check it. Let me save this. I'm going to save first within C. I'm going to say save as. Right now I'm going to, I don't know whether it will allow it. Let's see. Company db.tech SQL. Okay. Maybe some other folder. Documents. No, it's better inside my folder. Let me create a folder test. Company db.sql. Right. Right now, I'm going out from this. So maybe I will say use MySQL and then maybe drop database company, because otherwise I really don't know whether I will get it or it will give some errors. So right now I'm going to say source again. So this time I said this is what I have typed earlier. Company db.sql. Okay, so is it okay? Let me change the slashes.
Try the name with the double quotes file name from the C onwards. Yeah.
The direction, I didn't remember, but I remember we have double
Yeah,
slash.
forward slash. It's forward slash.
Forward slash, right? Okay.
Yeah. No, the other one. Yeah, right.
Okay. Well,
Doctor, at the end, colon required. Maybe that's.
you sure? Right. I put colon.
Without the double quotes and single quote.
You need a single quote.
No.
Okay.
Single quote is only that display. Actually, it's coming in the display.
I have pasted what I have run.
In the chat. Okay, maybe, yeah, because I don't want to confuse just the beginners. Let me check. Okay, so your case just that worked, right? So in my case, then ideally, let me check. First, without anything, let me try.
Mine also I've pasted it same.
It's the same, right?
Yeah.
Okay, let me check now. Both of your answers. Because in both the both of you, are you using Windows?
Windows. I'm Windows.
I'm also Windows.
Okay. So it looks like both flashes are working, but for some weird reason, did I make any mistake first? Let me check whether the file is there. I know. Okay, where was the test? Okay, apparently I didn't put tests. So that might be the reason.
Yeah, the folder is not great.
Fold is not there. So maybe let me save it as a key. It's inside that. Okay, so
Documents. It's in the
yeah, I mean, it's not your issue. It's yeah. So the place where I have saved. Sorry, guys, if I make you more. Okay.
You need to select the test folder. You didn't select the text folder.
No, it's a permission issue. Right now I'm heavy.
Yeah, go inside the test folder. On your right hand side.
Okay, should be test.
Yeah. Okay, now it should be fine.
Okay. It took so long, right? Okay. So my initial one was, this is the one I typed.
Yeah, it'll work.
It'll work. And what you said was, even if you put other way around, it should work, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't want to confuse the others, but simply you can say where we have everything and slash should work. Anyway, this is working, so I don't want to confuse. So that the error that I had actually made is like I didn't put the file inside the test file. Okay, looks like others are having issues. Can some of you tell me like where you got stuck? Danushka, Tushara? Okay, right now, let's go one at a time. Right now, I want to save it as again within this because I prefer to store the default MySQL folder. So I will go inside. So I can directly put this file. Otherwise, every time I have to type the path as well. Right. So in my case, right, so I saved it again. So I can drop the database again and I can just say source. It's working, right? Right now, show tables. We have not any tables here. So nothing inside, right? Okay. So let's move to the next one. Now, if for some reason, if I, rerun the script, if that since the database is already there, that will create a problem. So because of that, I will insert this line in the beginning, drop database if exists company, right? So meaning of this is, if the database is already there, then we'll ask them to drop it. So I'm going to save it. You can see now. The next time when I run it, no issue, because it will remove the company, but only so we have company database. Okay, right. Now let's create the table employee. So I hope you already tried this. So we have what we have is, we can check. Let me right now, here is what we have. So let's create a table. Let's create a table called table employee, using first name, middle initial, last name. Social security number is like employee ID or national ID card number. And then birth date, address. Then we have gender, we have salary, right? Then you can have, primary keys. You can put it in that form, right? So let me create the employee. So right now what I'm going to do is, after this, I'm going to create a table, create table employee. So right now, let's first start with F name. First name, I will say Vacha, variable character, put 15. And this should not be null, so I will say not null as well. Then middle initial character, and then we have last name, variable character 15, not null. Then we have social security number, and this is the primary key, remember that. And this is, you can see 9 characters there, it's a fixed, so we can use char. And here also I will define it as a not null value. So when you put not null, what really happens, when you insert a record, you have to have some value for that column. Then we have to have birth date, is date format. Then we will have birth date. Then we can have address. Again, it depends on how many characters you have to put, but definitely it should be Vacha. So let me put 30 characters. Then we can also have gender information. So in this particular case, we are using a single character. We can either use any enumerated type, or you can simply say char data set. It's up to you. I mean, this particular case I put char, but if let's say you have male and female, you can put enumerated type available in MySQL, right? And then let's say we have salary. I will use decimal. I will say I will need a 2 decimal point. Then we will have supervisor social record number. Each employee has a supervisor in this one. So we will put character 9. And each employee works for a department. Let's say department number. We will say int. And I can say primary key. Actually, this is separately we are putting, but you could have type first time you initialize social security number. That's also perfectly all right. Primary key. I will say social security number. Other than that, actually, you can put any index columns and also storage engine, which I will discuss after some time. Right now, I just want to show you very simply how you could, show the tables. So I'm going to get show tables again, because once I created that, I just want to see. So let's see the outcome of this. Right now, this is what we have. Okay, this is what I have typed. So I'm going to save it, file save. I'm going to again use source. Company db.sql. Yes, now you can see it was quickly no errors, and we can see the table has been created within the company database. Right. Please lower your hands, and then once you finish up to this part, just let me know whether you have finished. Okay, so after the first one, we created the table employee, and then let's enter the first record. So the command is insert into employee values, and then for the first name we put James, middle initial we have E, last name we have work, and social security number. Okay, please note that this has taken as a character type, not really as a number per se, because this is not used for any arithmetic calculations. Also, because of that, we represent as a character data type. Then we have birth date, the address, the gender, and then salary, whether person is having a supervisor social security number, and this particular person is not having any supervisors, and the department number is 1. So when I save the file and regenerate or rerun this from the source, and then when I say select all from employee, I can see the first record. So I want you to enter other information as well and populate the database. Right. Now, the next part, I would like to discuss some, foreign key constraint, because we know, for example, now here, we have department number, right? So let's see what will happen. Let's add the department as well, and we'll record some details. So I'm going to create a department next, because since I want to talk about the foreign key constraint here, so let's have the department, right? So here is the code. I'm going to create table department and department name. That's the first one. I'm going to use varchar 15, not null. And then department number, it's an integer value, not null. And then you can specify values as well. So I will say default. In that particular case, if you do not enter any value, or you can set it to 1. Then manager social security number, it's a character type. We will say 9, not null. Then manager start date, manager start date. So I will say date. Then I will say primary key. Primary key is department number. Right. For the time being, I'm going to stop at this point. So we put the department details as well. So let's put up a semicolon. File save. So let's run the source key. Yes, show tables. Okay, we have both department and employee. Let's select everything from department. Okay, we don't have, sorry, select all from department. Okay, so it's an empty set. So let's add, okay, I will copy paste this one in the chat. And then the next one, I will add some our first department, right? So yes, department number. Okay, so let's add the first department number 1. So for example, let's say insert. Okay, not here in the script itself, because then it's easier. Insert into department values. So I'm going to add the department number first. So it's headquarters. And the department number is 1. Manager social security number is and the starting date is 690. Okay. So let me save. Let me source. And then select all from employee. This is what we have. Okay, this is the department. Okay, now right now we don't have any issues, but I just would like to have a small discussion, right? So for example, now we have headquarters, we have James works at headquarters. Now, what if I delete, right, the department? Now, what should happen? I'm working for a headquarters. Let's say if I delete the department record, assuming that the department is not anymore, what should happen to the employees? Should we remove the employees?
Delete the employees.
Huh?
Delete the employees as well.
Delete the employees. Or it's like when you're closing down, you are going to remove employees as well. Remember, you are the boss.
It should restrict deleting the department if there are employees.
Okay, now you see, I mean, depend on our situation. Now we have to restrict that. Either you will say, okay, remove all the employees first so that you can delete the department. Or you let, delete the department, but you should set null, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, it depends on the activity that we are going to do. Let's say you are clearly deleting the department, then you should be able to
exactly that I want to discuss. It depends on what you want to do. Maybe when you want to remove the record of department, maybe you want to delete all the employees. If that is the case, how do you make sure at the database level? Now, since some of you have already done, how do you do that now? We have foreign key constraints, but right now we have not enforced them, isn't it? Yeah. So you can see now, ideally what we want is like we can create tables separately, but to have the real relationship, we have to specify what should happen. So for example, when you delete, what should happen? That we want to specify, right? I don't think I discussed this idea earlier, the last time, but I think when you're developing, especially your database scripts, you have to focus on this. Because later on, we will see when it comes to MySQL, we don't have this facility because we can have collections, but we don't really have these foreign key constraints, which I think, so you have to have a good understanding why we have foreign constraint in relational databases, right? So that means from the database level, we can specify what should happen when we delete. Right. So others, you can work on it, like those who have already know. Tell me, like, what command I should use.
So you can implement the constraint on a employee table.
Exactly.
Foreign key
Yes.
constraint.
Yeah, exactly.
And restrict on delete.
Okay, Sachin. Yeah, great. Can you give us, so how should I update my code, or should we, yeah, we can have it as a separate constraint as well.
I have implemented the one which I have pinged now in the chat. Oh, sorry, this is for the department.
Right, good. So let's put up this Yeah, actually, you can specify as a constraint. This by the way, Suchit, like when you put this, you put inside the table definition, right?
Yes, that's correct. After the
Okay.
primary key.
Yeah. But I will prefer to have it separately. I hope you don't mind that. So let's use it separately, and I will explain why I am doing that. This is perfectly all right. You can put it inside.
Sure, sir.
But only problem might be when you have existing data, you might have issues, right? You have to order how you may insert values, isn't it? So let's say I'm going to change the table of employee. So the command is alter table employee. And what I'm going to discuss is I'm going to assign a foreign key constraint. I will see add foreign key. So when you go to employee, first of all, I will describe employee. So everybody will remember what we had earlier. So in foreign key, employee table, here is what we have. So we have right now the department. So department will connect to the department number in the department table. So this is where the relationship, right? So now we have to say that, okay, so foreign key, we have to say department number DNO. And similarly, if you describe department, you can see now the two tables. So this department number will refer the D number here in the department. So we can say that these references, right, department D number, right? Okay. Now, what should happen, right? That's what we were discussing. So we are going to say on delete restrict. So which means, Suchit, which one we are restricting? Is it we are restricting deleting employees or deleting departments?
Deleting departments. So if
Okay.
there is a reference to the employee.
Exactly. So let's check. So I'm going to say delete restrict on delete. Actually, on update as well, you can use those who are new to this. Remember, you can specify deletion as well as the updates, right? So let's say on delete, we'll say restrict. Right. Now let's save it. Right. So let's select all from department, select all from employee. Let me check. Yes, here is what we have. So so let's try to delete now, just to explain you. Right. So let's try to delete now. Let's see what will happen. Delete from, let's say, department. where department number equals 1. Okay. That's really great, right? You cannot delete now. So now see, without this foreign key constraint, we could not delete, right? So if you put this instead of restrict, if you put set null, what will happen? So on delete, let me say set null. Let's see whether this is working. So what I did again, so I'm going to use source again. We have the department, we have the employee. Let's try to delete. So it's allowed, right? Now what will happen here? You get my point? Those who others, I need your attention, right? So what I did it here earlier. So foreign key constraint is very important. And when you're developing, your MySQL script, I want to focus on that, especially what should happen when you try to delete something. So previously we set it to restrict, and then we couldn't delete the department, right? We got a warning. Earlier we got a warning, right? When we try to delete, it said, okay, there's a foreign key constraint. So you are not allowed to delete any records, right? But here, then what I did, I changed it. So this is the advantage I will get it. I can try different possibilities. Now I set it to null. So when I set it to null, what will happen? I'm not going to remove any of the employees, but I think their department, I set it to null. It's like for some reason we restructure our the department. We close down some service departments, but then the employees who works for that department, they'll there until they assign to some other department. Agreed? Understood? Any questions on this? So previously we put on delete restrict. So that time we couldn't delete, the department, right? But when department deletes, when you set to null, you see the foreign key set it to null. So now similar to this, I hope you can work on this one. Similarly, you can set update as well. Now, usually updates we normally call cascade, meaning like it should propagate. So for example, when you change the department number, right? So that should propagate. So the complete one, for a problem like this, I would say, I will put two things. So deleting, I can decide, you can decide whether to restrict or whether to set it to null. The other one is, you can say on update, we can say cascade. So cascade meaning it will propagate. Now, what if if I put cascade here, delete cascade. Yes, Sochi?
Delete all the employees.
Of course.
For that department.
Yeah, exactly. So when you delete, maybe I can show you. So I can save this. So this time I'm going to put cascade. So I will source, right? Right now you can see we have the department details. We have the employees. So let's try to delete. If you delete, and then let's look at the department. Let's look at employees. It's empty. So 3 things you can have it. You can say restrict, you can set null, you can say cascade. So ideally, I don't think you better to put cascade here when you are deleting. It's not usually recommended, because if you make mistake, so that will harm your entire database. So best would be like either you say restrict or you can say set null. So in this particular case, so on delete, in my case, I will prefer to set null. But on update, right, I will say cascade. Right. So let me save this. So now any changes? So now let me rerun this. I'm going to say source again. So you can see the department details as well as employee details. Let's update. So let's say I'm going to say update. Let's say department, right? Set the department number to, let's say 2. The number equals 2, where department name equals right. So now let's look at what happens in the department, what happens with the employee. So you can say we use cascade. We change the department number to 2. Now you can see in employee record also, we have set it to 2. Right. So this is what actually I want to explain, which I have not discussed last time, foreign key constraints. So for each table relationship, you have to define the foreign key constraint. The reason why I separately, add these constraints, because when you have already existing data, it's always easier you insert data and then you add any constraints. So otherwise there will be violations, or you have to particularly focus on ordering these ones. Right. I think the rest, I hope you can handle. But anything,
So
if you want me to implement, just let me know.
So I have a question.
Yes, good afternoon.
So think that if we have a composite primary key and that the partial key will be a foreign key for some table primary key, then what will happen that if that table is deleted, so then that composite key, that it cannot be null, that one value.
Okay, those who are in the industry, can you give us any answer? I think the dependence, we have that situation, right? Maybe we could implement that and we can discuss the situation. The question is, when we have partial keys, like especially now we have dependents, and then let's say we have employees. I think obviously when you have a dependent, the relationship in this particular case, dependent is a weak entity. My answer for your question is, usually we will remove the dependent entity or the dependent table from the database, because you cannot talk about any existence of this without the main entity. Now, for example, I can talk about this with the dependent table. So let me share the, first of all, let me share the example. So in this example, you can see here, this is the place where we can have partial keys. Now, for example, we have employee table and we have a dependent table, like the employees' family information, we can keep independence. But without an employee, you can talk about the dependence. So Gunratna's question, I would say, when we are going to delete, for example, employee, I think related information from the dependent also should be removed. But here, if you delete entire table, your question is like that. If you delete entire table, entire dependent table also should be removed from the database. I don't know, others can comment on this. Suchit, Santha, and those who already worked in the industry, can you comment on that? I don't know.
In this case, I think his question is, if you have a composite key in dependent table, what happen if you delete employee, which is related to that composite key? So that can be stopped by the constraint, like a restrict constraint on delete. So that's how we handle it. But if you drop the table, I don't think it will allow, even because dropping the table first, it will start deleting records. So it will not allow again with that restriction.
Exactly. So that's why I said, like, it depends on if you drop, or if you, let's say if it is cascading, if you allow the cascading in update or delete. So when you remove any record from employee, that will remove relevant dependence as well. Gunratna, I guess you got the answer.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Okay. So anything else that you would like to discuss? Yeah, Madhushan also said like it won't allow to delete. Yeah, in case if you specify, okay, dropping will not allow. Yes, I think I didn't got the question correctly. Anyways, thanks for your comments. Right, that's all what I have. If you have not anything, then yeah, dropping is not allowed. Sachit also shared some details. Okay, thanks then. I think I have to stop a little bit early for today, but I think you can work on the problem. You can also work on the whole problem. You can develop the script. And then you can also add foreign key constraints. And then, yeah, next week, I will discuss and I will compare the same problem. So I want everybody to work on this problem carefully and understand the implementation. And then we can compare this implementation together with how NoSQL database such as MongoDB handles a database like this. Right. Shall we stop then? If you have no questions, I'm going to stop at
So
that
I
point.
have another question, sir, that if that databases wants to be replicate, so then so some kind of high availability, load balancing kind of stuff. So how can we manage these kind of things? Is it we can manage MySQL replications?
To be honest, like to be honest with you, let me come back with an example. But I think the MySQL server should allow us this functionality of replicating. So it's not manually we are going to decide on that one. But I think how much you are going to replicate, that might be a configuration. Anyone in the class with the experience of MySQL clusters or distributed databases implementation with the MySQL? Anyways, I'll come to that point. It's a good question, Gururatna. I will have a look and come back. I think it should be possible. And it's not manual as well, because usually, at least theoretical point of view, within replication, we will decide whether we are going to fully replicate the database or depend on conditions, we may partially replicate. And ideally, it should be automated. So it's not manual. So configuration should give us the flexibility to handle that. But the specific answer, I'll come next week, right? I'll have a look and come back implementation, because I have not done implementation. I have done some, but not real, distributed level implementation. But we can discuss.
It will be similar to like data guard in Oracle. Like if I don't know whether it is a complete answer. It's MySQL replication.
Okay. But I will check on MySQL how it is handling. But I think, yeah. But it's automated, right? So you don't have to do it, manual replications.
Once you set up the environment, it will automatically.
It is automated. Usually that is
Yeah.
the case when it comes to replication. But you have the flexibility to decide whether you are going to replicate the whole thing or partially, depending on that one. I think Sachit, shared the answer for that one. Have a look at that. Okay, thanks for, I think, yeah. So it's set up everything. Okay, guys, thanks for sharing and thanks for all the questions you had. So in the next week, I'm going to have another discussion on the type of database, especially not focusing on NoSQL and how we could handle the same problem. Okay, then. So let's meet next week. And I'm guessing that we are going to meet at this time, right? From this point onwards.
Yeah, that's what confirmed.
Okay. So then let's meet at the same time. Thank you, guys.
All right,
We'll
thank you.
meet next week.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Okay, bye.
Thank you, sir. Bye.
Thank you, sir.